Good morning. How are you? Or good afternoon or good evening or wherever you are. Today I'm going to do a bit of a Q&A. Hey again. Hi everyone. Hi Chim Chim. So I've asked you on Instagram to ask a bunch of questions, and then in this is going to be a Ask Me Anything, just answering all of those questions. And it's cool because we've got a bunch of questions to get through, some really good ones. And obviously, if you have any more questions as well, just drop them in the chat on the YouTube live and I'll get to them as well. I like doing it in this sort of format because it is a bit more of a backwards and forwards. So if you have any follow-up questions on the questions that people have already asked, then feel free to drop them in the chat and we'll get into that as well. So without waiting around, I'm just going to jump straight into it. It's Ben's Life asks, has your family started investing like you? It's a good question because I've started sharing recently on this channel how I have been investing, and I hadn't really mentioned that over the last couple of years on my other channel or anywhere really. And I didn't mention it before because it kind of wasn't within my wheelhouse. It wasn't within my niche, so to say, to start talking about that. But I do feel like it's important, so I do want to start talking about it more and more. And yeah, I learned a lot of this years ago from my dad. My dad is the person that taught me initially about stocks and shares and about how you can get into the stock market. He worked in banking for 25 years. He also worked as a stockbroker, and that was where I got a sort of a initial input into it, an insight into that world. I actually, when I was working in my first job, I did start putting away some money into stocks and shares then, and I started my own portfolio when I was about 22. And then I planned to hold that and I planned to just keep those there. But then when I needed some money while I was traveling, I ended up selling them, which I wish I hadn't, because if I had just kept that and held those for longer, it would be worth a lot more now. But I did sell them at the time and then got back into it again later. So yeah, my dad is the person that initially got me interested in investing, and then that sort of spurred a bigger interest later on. Next question. Nathaniel Manok asks, best way to remain original and unique if I'm starting a travel YouTube channel? I think this is cliche advice, but it's 100% true. The most important thing to stay original and unique is to make your own personality stand out. Be unique by being you and being yourself, and make your personality part of your brand and part of your YouTube channel, because no one can copy your personality. If people are coming to you for you, then that is a way of being original and being unique because it's you. But even by showing your own personality, I think there's times when you can kind of fall in the trap of copying what other people are doing on YouTube and just doing things the same as what other people are already doing. So I think you do need to be careful of just imitating other YouTube channels. And I've even noticed myself doing this before by accident and subconsciously, where you watch a video and then suddenly you start incorporating those ideas in your own video. So I think you have to be careful, because just because something's working on YouTube right now, or just because a particular style of YouTube video is working for that channel, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you, and that may be very individual to that other channel's style. So I think you do have to stay original and come up with your own style, and then people will come to you for that style, and people will come to you for that outlook. And you can only do this over time. You can only do this by figuring out how you like making content, what works for you, incorporating as much of your personality as you can into those videos. And from doing that, it's you and it's your creativity you're putting into it. How many questions? Oh, sorry, how many questions? How many countries have you been to is the next question. I'm fairly sure it's 80. On the last count, it was 80, and that last count would have been a few months ago now because of this. So I'm pretty sure it is 80. Lost in Travel blog, how do you stay entertained on a long haul flight? I used to do a lot of work. So I used to get out my laptop and spend the whole time editing and just spend time on the laptop doing work, because I figured being on a plane is kind of this enclosed, enforced time where all I have is my laptop to work. So I would just be sat there, cramped up, trying to type like this, and it just doesn't work very well. I kind of found more recently that I don't enjoy working on a laptop on a plane, and I don't enjoy editing. Editing is especially difficult if you don't have the mouse and the ability to move around. So instead, now I kind of use that time on a plane, especially on long haul flights, just to chill out, listen to podcasts, watch the in-flight entertainment if they have it, and just get into a few movies and catch up on movies that I hadn't seen. I do really enjoy listening to a podcast. As soon as I get onto the plane, I switch on a podcast, either like Joe Rogan or The Fighting Entrepreneur is a great one, by the way, if you're interested in that, sort of learning about marketing. David Dobrik has a great podcast, Peter Crouch podcast, and I'll just put on a podcast and listen to it for the whole flight. So that's kind of how I keep myself entertained on flights without in-flight entertainment. But if they do have movies, I'll just binge a bunch of movies. Jane Url, how much did you earn during the pandemic period? I'm not going to say an exact amount because I don't know, that feels... I'm not going to go into each month how much I earn on this channel, but I'm happy to say that it is similar to what I was making before. This whole pandemic period, luckily, and I'm fortunate, hasn't really affected income for myself, because the way I'm set up with making money through video, there's still a demand for it. There's still a demand for content. People are still watching videos, and that doesn't go away. Actually, it increases as more people are locked in watching videos. That's kind of been the same. So it hasn't been affected negatively, and it hasn't been affected positively, but it has given me time to work on some things like this channel and this other platform that I'm putting together. So then when we do come out of this, then my income should increase because I've spent all of this time working on these other ideas and creating these other income streams. Oh, pardon me, I might sneeze in a second. I don't know if anyone gets hay fever, but it's really bad here. And that's why my eyes are like this right now, because I'm really struggling with hay fever over the last couple of weeks. Anyway, Mukesh just asks, I'm from India. What is the best way to make money online? Well, I can't say what is the best way to make money online in India. What I can say for myself is the best way to make money online in the long term, in my eyes, is from creating content. It's what I know, and it's what anyone can do just with the phone and just with the ability just to start filming from your phone if your phone has a camera, or start typing if you want to create written content just from your phone, or better yet from a laptop if you're able to. But anyone has the ability now to start making content, and then from content you can start making money. It could even be making content for other people's platforms and getting paid as a freelancer. It can be making it for your own platform and building an audience. But there's such a demand for content out there that if you start making content now, you will be able to make money from it in the future. And I think that's not independent to one country. That's not only people from the US and UK or English speaking countries that can do it. Any country, you have the ability to start making money from your content if you consistently start creating content and always keep improving. I just saw a comment here, so let me pop it up for a second. You mentioned last time about your Ecuador trip and said that you have a video to upload. Where is it? Yeah, well, I haven't had a laptop for the last 2 weeks, which is why I'm doing the lives on this mobile phone, because I should get my laptop back today, by the way. And as soon as I get my laptop back, I can finish off editing those videos and get them up on my main channel, which will be the Ecuador videos. But for right now, I haven't been able to edit them. And although I do have a few people that I work with to help me with the editing, and they have edited it to a point where it's okay, I still need to go through and make the final touches, and I want to go and make it a really good video. So once I do get my laptop back, I'll be able to finish the editing of the Ecuador videos and get them up on my channel. Should be today, by the way, which I'm excited for, to actually get back to doing some proper work. Which airline do you usually take? I don't favor any airline specifically. I generally have in the past just gone for the cheapest, best price. the cheapest price that's the most direct, because I don't want to get a really cheap price that's like 40 hours with 3 stopovers. It's not worth it. I'd rather go for the best price for the most direct route on whatever airline that is. And I don't just choose an airline, I'll just choose what the best route is. Did you collaborate with any other YouTuber on your travel blog? Not 100% sure what you mean there for my travel blog, but for the vlog, I've worked with a few other creative videos. I say worked with. We've made some videos together with other YouTubers on Life of George channel quite a few times, but it's never really been like, hey man, do you want to go make a video together? Let's go get loads of subscribers. At least for me, it hasn't been. It's more always been like, yeah, they've got this really cool thing. Do you want to go do it? Yes, cool, sounds good. And it's more just like the travel part of it came first, and then I ended up meeting some cool people because of that. But it was always more, let's go do a cool experience together, and then we're both going to be making videos anyway, rather than let's go collab on something. I just saw a couple comments here. Hey guys, thanks again for joining. Hey Kembies, hey Jack. Do you sometimes feel unsafe, weird walking around filming yourself with an expensive camera? Yeah, I mean, I have done in the past for sure. I think sometimes it's unfounded, and sometimes it's just like you're being over the top careful when you're in a new place. And especially, I think when you arrive to a place when it's dark, you kind of don't have your bearings yet, and you don't know that place yet, so you feel like it's unsafe. So in those situations, I definitely haven't. Oh God. I said at the beginning of this that I might sneeze. I've got hay fever today. Anyway, but especially in places like where you first arrive and it's dark, I do feel kind of like I don't want to be getting out my expensive camera and start filming, because I guess that's just common sense. But so far, nothing bad has happened to me when I've been filming with a camera, and so far it's been all good. But I think you do still need to have common sense with it, and that's why, especially when I was filming all the time, every day, I always had 2 cameras. I had my bigger, more expensive DSLR or like camera that I'd like to use all the time, and then a smaller point and shoot that I could just use in situations where I don't want to get the big camera out, or I can just use it on the fly and just shoot like that. That way I feel it's kind of subtler, and I don't have to always use the big camera in situations that might feel sketchy. You can kind of do that with your phone now as well. That's why I don't typically always carry around the point and shoot anymore, because the phone will do a good enough job if I just want to get a quick clip of something. What was your job again before? So I've had a couple of jobs before I started all of this, but my first proper job, I guess you'd call it, out of university was a project manager in a bank. I did that for a year and a half in a bank in UK, like project managing software. I don't know, is not something I was particularly interested in, but I did that for a year and a bit. And then in Australia, I had a couple jobs as well. The first one was working in a bar, which I got fired for after a week. And then I worked with a lady creating websites, and then which was very basic web design. And then I worked back in an office in doing temp work before I then started doing this full time. Hey Lyndall, hey again, thanks for joining. Oscar, what camera gear do you use? Right now, I've got the Panasonic GH5, which is great. And honestly, like it does everything I need. It's a great camera. I can film in 4K and get like 120 FPS or 180 FPS even, which is super, super slow-mo. And it's really stable, good lens, which I got the slightly higher 12 to 60 2.8 lens, and it's just a great all-round camera. I really enjoy using it. I will say, like I mentioned about a point and shoot a minute ago, I am going to get another point and shoot soon. I'm going to get I think it's the RX6 now, or 7 or something. But the Sony point and shoots are great, and they can film really good cinematic 4K. I think it's like 600-700 quid for the newish one, and newish because they're always bringing out new ones. And that is also what I'm going to use to complement the GH5 to always get those sort of silky smooth shots. But mostly for the last year, I've just been filming on the GH5 and my Mavic 2 when I'm able to take it. Because especially for the last year, the places I was in through most of 2019, it was a lot more difficult to take a drone than a lot of other places, going through Syria and Ethiopia and like North Korea and all places where I just wouldn't be able to take a drone. And I was going from place to place. So if one of those meant I couldn't take a drone into the country, I couldn't take it on the whole trip. So I ended up not having a drone for like 3 months and just filming with the GH5, pretty much just using that. I did have a couple of other bits of gear as well, like the gimbal for DSLR, which I barely used, and yeah, mostly it was just all on the GH5. You stay in touch with other influencers on a regular basis. Not, yes, I do. I mean, I've got some great friends that I guess you'd also call influencers and content creators and YouTubers, and like we do chat just because we're mates. But I wouldn't say that I necessarily keep in touch with people just like because they're influencers or content creators. We don't have like a private group where we're like, hey, how's your influencing going? It's more just because these guys have become my mates and we chat about things. I think I've more come about it from that sort of point of view that I don't necessarily, I wouldn't just work with someone or collaborate with someone because they've got a big YouTube channel or following or whatever. If they're a douchebag, I'll just let them be a douchebag, and I'd rather be mates with the people that I find cool. And they're the ones that I've stayed in touch with and become better friends, I guess, if that answers your question. Right, a couple more of the Instagram questions. Did you collaborate? What is the aim of your life? Oh, big question. Pardon me. What advice do you want to give to others to achieve goals in our lives? I think the aim of your life changes over the course of your life, I guess. I think like you go through, and I can't comment on this hugely, I'm 29 right now. How much do I really know about life? But for me, so far, like the aim of my life in general, it's a tough question to ask because at first it was just over the last few years, it was just, hey, I want to travel and I want to be happy. I want to figure out a way to travel and do the things that I really want to do so I don't have any regrets when I'm older. And that was really where it came from. I was working in a job that I didn't enjoy, and it was, hey, I don't want to look back in 10, 20 years and think I wish I'd done those things. So I'm just going to go out and start doing them and try and figure out a way to make it work. I think that's going to change over time because right now, partly it's still that. I still have massive things that I want to do and go tick off the bucket list and go like, run marathons, climb mountains, because I don't want to, if I get something into my head that I want to do that, I don't want to ever think, oh, I wish I'd done that or I wish I'd tried that. I just want to go and do those things that I really want to do, or even try to do them, And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. At least I gave it my best to try them. I think that is kind of changing now. I do still really want to do those things, but I recognize now that I can't do everything, You can't do everything in life. But maybe in the future, I think that I'll change more towards I remember how much I wanted to travel and how much I wanted to learn online and how difficult it was. So I think in the future that will change more towards helping other people to do that as well. Because I really mean that. Like I think I want to help more people to do this because I think like it's not something that's ever taught, and the more people that could do this, the better the world will be. So I want to help more people to go out and do that, and I think that's what I'm going to be working towards more in the future. But still getting to do really cool shit. Sorry if I sniff. Hay fever is a bitch. What advice do you want to give others to achieve goals in our lives? Just go and do it. Go and start, whatever that thing is. And you know what it is. Most people know what it is. Most people know what the thing is that you really want to do, and you're afraid of doing because you're afraid of failure, or you're scared of trying to do it. Just go and do it and go and start doing it. And if you don't know what that is yet, which I think is one of the most difficult parts when you're not exactly sure what you want to do, just for the long term, I don't know what I want to do for the next 20 years, but go and start doing the thing that you really enjoy right now. Go and start trying that thing that you're passionate about, or go and start trying that thing that you want to do, and that'll lead into the next thing, which will lead into the next thing. But it's only by starting that you figure out what you really, really want to do. What was that turning point that made you decide to quit your job to travel and earn? Actually, for me, it was very clear. It was, I used to play a lot of football, And at the time, while I was working in this bank after university, I was playing football for an okay team, kind of like semi-professional-ish. Not paid very well, but still like very slightly paid. And I ended up tearing my ACL, the ligament in my knee, while I was playing, and I completely tore it. And then I couldn't play football for the rest of the season, and I had to go through like physio and operations, 6 months of physio. And it was kind of being laid up in bed at that point where I was out of work for a couple of weeks. And I was thinking about, oh, what do I really have to look forward to? I'm going back to work in a job I don't enjoy, spending money on things I don't want to spend money on, like just going out on the weekend and spending money on partying and like unnecessary things. What do I really want to do? And then I realized then that something that I'd already known for a while is what I really wanted to do was travel. And although I didn't really know how to make money from it and I had no idea how exactly it was going to work, I knew that I wanted to travel. So I figured, okay, that was the point where I decided that I was going to quit my job, save money, and travel. But it would still take a few months until I got to that point. Because even though I was in a good job at the time then, I was spending all my money every weekend and just getting further into my credit cards and into my overdraft. Like I was earning good money for a 22-year-old and I had no money saved and I was deep into a credit card, which didn't make any sense. But I think it's just because I was unhappy and I was spending lots and spending lots of rubbish rather than having anything to save towards. And as soon as I kind of changed my mentality and I thought, okay, no, I'm going to save towards quitting my job and going to do this thing I really want to do, I ended up managing, I saved money quite quickly after that point. And then a few months later was when I was actually able to quit my job and go off and travel. I kind of needed that break and I needed that shift in my mind to decide what I actually wanted to do with my money rather than just wasting it on unnecessary things. I think we're kind of maybe a few people watching this, or a lot of people, I think, probably in lockdown right now might be having similar moments because this is kind of a break from normality. It's a break from that routine that we've got caught in. And there might be a lot more people now, I hope, chasing the things that really make them happy and really make things that make them passionate. Oh, God. Oh, I'm so sorry. uh, I felt that one coming. Right. Um, would you go back to India again? And if so, any particular areas you are keen to explore? Yeah, definitely. The northwest of India is where I really want to get to as soon as possible, like Leh Ladakh and that region. There's for anyone that hasn't seen it yet, go and check out the Leh Ladakh trip. It's Leh and then Ladakh Ladakh, and it's this epic sort of motorcycle route. I think some people trek it, and it just goes through the mountains up near the Himalayas in the northwest of India. It looks incredible, and I really want to go there and do that. That was one of the plans for this year to be, I would have been in Pakistan already and then India doing that and just being in that whole region. So definitely will be back there, but not obviously right now. Sometime soon, I hope. Sean O'Neill, how do you find cheap flights and what is the best website? Honestly, I think like because I actually get this question quite a lot, and I think some people. I'm not saying this is why you're asking, but I think some people expect that there's this like magic website where people find really cheap flights, and I have yet to find it. I don't know. Like I mean, I play around. I search it, maybe Momondo, Kiwi. I think it's not even called Kiwi anymore. Maybe it's GoToGate and Skyscanner. But I usually always still start with Skyscanner. And most flights are generally always the same price. You can get some really cheap deals on sites like Secret Flying and Fly New. Like Secret Flying is a great one for cheap deals if you're flexible for where you're flying. But if you're not particularly flexible, then you basically you pay what everyone else pays. I think the best way to find cheap flights is to be really flexible. Just search for the month of July for a flight and see what the cheapest option is, and then fly on a certain day. But I don't think there's no real site that works to be much cheaper than other sites. I always just generally start still with Skyscanner. How could one possibly promote a YouTube channel or Instagram account? Mm, I mean, I assume this question is how could you promote it outside of YouTube rather than using YouTube ads for your channel? So I'll go along with that theme. So the best way to promote your YouTube channel, I think, outside of YouTube, is through other social media. Let's say I did a video on this channel recently, but let's say you've got a video that is particularly based on one niche. Well, go and find a niche community on another website outside of YouTube. So if you've got a video that's based on based on travel to Thailand, go and find a Facebook group that is interested in travel to Thailand. Go and find a Reddit group that is interested in travel to Thailand. Go and find a forum that is interested. And if you can provide value to those groups, then there's less competition in those groups on websites outside of YouTube than there is for people finding videos within YouTube. So if you want to grow a YouTube channel about a niche, go and find a community outside of YouTube that you can post value to and bring them back to your YouTube channel. Sorry, I just saw a couple comments here. Didn't have any questions to ask, but enjoy watching you live every day. Thank you, Jim. Thanks for joining. Did you follow anyone or looked up to anyone on YouTube before you started? And what was the success goal before you posted your first video? Good question. Excuse me. Yeah, I actually followed back in the day. It was like 2014, 2015. Was Fun for Louie and Ben Brown. And they were two English UK travel YouTubers that I just really enjoyed their content. And they were people that were doing it at a time before a lot of other people were doing it. And Fanfului really like nailed down the daily vlog. He did like 1,000 days of doing a video every single day while traveling the world, which is incredible. And that's like the amount of hard work that went into that, I can't imagine. And the same for Ben Brown. And those guys really like inspired me to start with a travel YouTube theme, like a travel vlog. And yeah, I think those are the guys that really got me into it, because it was the first time I saw, wow, you can just travel the world making videos. How cool is that? And that's where it spiraled on to other things. I think there's amazing YouTubers now that like the standards just got better and better and better over the years. And like the standard of videos now is incredible. Whereas back then it was just like a video point and shoot, throwing a video together each day and seeing what happens. And it was fun. It was fun, and they were fun to follow. Whereas now I think the standards got a lot higher. But I think those guys, yeah, they definitely inspired me originally. Hi, David. Hey. Yeah, no worries, Bradley. It's definitely how I started growing the channel on this initially. There was I don't think it exists anymore, but there was a tool called Mass Planner 2. And basically, it may exist, I don't know. But all you would do, it was a tool that would plug anything you typed to loads and loads of different Facebook groups, Reddit groups, Google Plus communities, if anyone remembers that, Twitter pages. And you just got, let's say I typed, you won't believe this video hack or whatever. It would then take that with my link, with an image, and post it to 200 different Facebook groups, 200 different Reddit communities, Google Plus communities, all at once, over and over and again. And I think that's very spammy. I think now you wouldn't get away with it so much. But 5 years ago, that was an option. Now I'd definitely say it makes a lot more sense to do it manually, go and actually provide value to these communities, because otherwise you'll just get your account banned and you won't be on those communities for very long. But there's still an opportunity to go and find these different places where you can post your videos and build a bigger audience outside of YouTube. Did you do all of your videos by yourself, or do you have someone helping you behind the scenes, like editing? For myself, for the last few years, it's always just been me shooting and editing. And then in the last 6 months before this whole lockdown, I started using an editing team based out of the Philippines, and I was paying monthly for unlimited editing, where I was basically getting them to do the basic editing, like trimming and just getting it kind of into the timeline, so then I could go through at the end and make the kind of final changes and make it how I wanted it. And I thought this would be a good idea to help me to get out more content, what I found is that the level of editing they were giving wasn't necessarily, it wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. So they were editing for me, and I could just send them like the folder over. They'd come back with a first draft. I would say, you need to make these changes. They'd come back with a second draft a couple of days later. But the whole process of it just took quite a long. It would take a week to get back a video. And then even then, at that point, when they sent back the edit, I'd still have to go back and make my own changes and make it more into my own style. So I haven't found a good editor yet that can make something in the style I would want it and the standard that I would want it. But I do think, because most big YouTube channels do use editors, and they do have a team of editors, but I wouldn't want to give up what I consider to be my standard on the Life of George channel. And I haven't found an editor or editor team yet that could match how I would want it to look. But I'm not against having editors. I would still just want the final look and the final feel of it to be exactly as I want it. I'm really sorry for sniffing and sneezing, by the way. It's hay fever. And the next question, what's your risk level set to on Nutmeg? So I said in another video recently that I've started investing with Nutmeg, and actually started this about 12 months ago, but Nutmeg's got more popular recently, and I think it's doing a really good job. For those of you that don't know, Nutmeg is basically, it's a very basic way of passively investing in the stock market. So you can set your risk level to, let's say, defensive, balanced, growth, or adventurous, and you just put in a certain amount of money, and you can put in money each month if you want, and then they'll work for you to try and grow that money more than, let's say, a savings account would. So I have two pots within Nutmeg. I have one which is a LISA in the UK, which basically, if I put in £1,000, the government gives me £250 on top to make it so it's an incentive for saving money towards a house or for your retirement. And it's tax-free, so I put it into LISA, I get that 25% on top, and then that risk is set to growth. So even though I'm getting that 25% on top, that's still invested in the stock market, and then Nutmeg's going to try and make more money off of that money. So I've got that set to growth, which is the second most adventurous level of risk, and it's mostly in stocks and equities. And I think a portion of it is in bonds and other assets, but mostly in stocks. And then in the other one, I have another pot, which I started more recently in the last couple of months. It's set to adventurous. I started that, maybe straight after the big crash we had in March. So then would be a good time to put in some money, because, they say buy when others are fearful, be greedy when others are fearful is the saying. So when it was like everyone was massively scared, I started putting some money back in, and that one is set to adventurous, and that's, I'm just having a look at it now, is up 7.5% right then, which is conservative. It's okay. And if you are interested in Nutmeg, by the way, at all, then you can go and sign up, and they will just give you a breakdown. They'll give you an assessment of what your level of risk should be and the projected returns for it. So you kind of just answer a few questions, and they tell you what level of risk you might be comfortable with, and they can try and give you advice. But yeah, if you're interested in that, I'm going to make more videos about it in the future. Hopefully I get my laptop back today, and that will be the plan. Take care, George. Drink more water. I drink so much water, you have no idea. Yeah, I literally, I've got a big glass here. My friends actually always used to take the mic because I've always got a glass of water in my hand. I pretty much, it's kind of boring. I drink water or coffee nowadays. If you have any other questions, drop them in, by the way. Thanks everyone for joining. I think these are the amount of questions that I got on the Instagram, and there might be a few more right now, but I'm using my phone, so I can't go and check my Instagram. But yeah, I hope this helps. I'm going to continue to do more of these lives, and I'm going to get more guests on as well. So after today is when I should be able to test the new setup, and I should be able to make it a bit cleaner with the proper mic and other cams and stuff, and make it more of a professional live stream. But I've quite enjoyed doing these live streams. I've quite enjoyed. It's like a new way of making videos. It's tough, I'll be honest. It's hard to keep one train of thought and keep doing a live stream, because you don't have the power of editing. You know, if I make a mistake when I'm filming a video, I can just chop that off and then start again. You can start with a sentence, mess it up a bit, and then be like, oh God, I've got to start filming again. But on a live stream, you don't have that anyway. Even when that's why I guess why I kind of like it as well. It's more natural, and I get to have a more of a natural conversation with you and answer any questions. Anyway, I hope that enjoys it. Thanks again for watching. I will be back again tomorrow. Have a good rest of the day. And if you have any other questions, if you're watching this after the live stream, put them in the comments below and I'll make sure to answer them in the next Q&A. For now, I need to go and sneeze. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.